Hello everyone, today I want to talk about the default hotkeys for Emacs, and of course your text editing needs might be very different from mine, so I'm just going to show you the basics and that should get you started. I've prepared a little cheat sheet and we're going to take a look at it right now, and I'm going to explain some of the concepts and I can show you a few tricks. So first of all, the notation in Emacs is that C is always for the control key and M is for meta, which is the alt key and or the escape key. And if we have this minus sign between two characters, it means that we press the buttons simultaneously. So that means in order to open or create a file, we press Ctrl X and we hold Ctrl and we press F, and then we get this find file down here. We can hit Tab, which should open a little window, and we can open files down here, or we can enter into folders, or we can just press Enter and we get like the same view where we can also select files or go further down into folders. If we are in this view, in the direct view, we can press Q and the direct view closes. So next important part is save file. So if we change the file, you can see down here these two asterisks shows that we have changed the file, and if we press Ctrl X and Ctrl S, we write the file, so the file is saved. Next one is kill buffer. This basically means if we are in this buffer, for example, in a scratch buffer, we can hit Ctrl X and K and we can close it. Then in I do mode, which I usually use, which looks like this, I get all the suggestions down here for folders if I press Ctrl X, Ctrl F. And if I want to still go into the direct mode, I can press Ctrl D and I'm in direct. So next one, switch buffer. This is pretty cool. If we have opened a few files, we can press Ctrl X and B, and as you can see down here, we get a list of buffers that we have opened before, and we can quickly change the buffer. Oh, very handy. So the next one, let's go to text navigation. Ctrl F is basically moving the buffer to the right. Ctrl B, which is here, is moving the cursor to the left, which is basically a substitution for the arrow keys. And this, of course, prevents you from having to remove your right hand from the keyboard and going to the arrow keys. So this makes jumping around in your source code or in your text file a lot faster. Next one is Cn, Ctrl N, which is jumping down a line, and Ctrl P, which is jumping up a line, which I'm doing right now. And next one is Meta F, MF, and we can jump to the end of the next word, which is also pretty fast. And Meta B is of course jumping to the beginning of the word, which is probably the equivalent of Control and the arrow keys in Visual Studio, for example. We can also search, which is Control F in most other editors, but we can search forward and we can search backwards. So for example, if I want to jump to line, but I don't want to press Control N a few times, I can simply search forward with Ctrl S. And the same thing works backwards, of course. If I want to jump to backwards, but I don't want to press Ctrl P a few times because it's slow, I can just simply go backwards with Ctrl R. And of course, if I am searching backwards, I can press Ctrl S and I can start searching forward again. And I have the benefit that all the matching regex regular expressions are highlighted. Another nice key that I really enjoy using is Meta R. Meta R is basically if I am, for example, up here, but I know that I want to jump to one of these lines. I can press MR, and the first time you press it, you land at the middle of the page. If you press it a second time, you land at the top, and if you press a third time, you're at the bottom. But you always start at the middle, so I have to hit it 2 times if I want to go to the top, or 3 times if I want to go to the bottom. And I can, of course, jump around with search again if you don't mistype. Next one is searching at the cursor point, which is also pretty handy. So I can hit Ctrl S, which opens the iSearch, and as soon as I hit Ctrl W, it will mark to the end of the word, and then I can search for it. Of course, we don't have any marks, but we can, yeah, I can show it like that. So that's also pretty handy. Ctrl V is jumping a page down. As you can see here, we jump the page down, and Meta V is jumping a page up, which is also pretty handy. Meta dot is jump to definition. In order to use that, you would need a CTEX or LSP mode activated. So let's jump down. I can show you right now. We hit Ctrl V, we jump down. And if we want to jump to a function definition, for example, like for the function definition for add, we can hit meta dot. We have to specify the text file in this example, and we will immediately jump to the function definition of the function add. And what's really cool, if we want to jump back, we can hit meta comma, and we immediately land at our at the point where we used meta dot, which is pretty awesome to jump between function definitions. So next one, meta G, which is basically go to line. Very straightforward. Then we have jump to the end of the line, which is also pretty cool, very handy. And Ctrl A is jump to the beginning of the line. There is another one which is meta M, which is jump to beginning of indentation. So if we are, for example, in this configuration, like we have this text line, if I hit Ctrl E, I'm at the end of the line. If I hit Ctrl A, I'm at the beginning of the line. But if I hit meta M, I'm at the beginning of the indentation, which can be pretty handy. Oh. There we go. Next one, which I already used just a minute ago, is undo, which is Ctrl X and then U. So if I mistype something, I can just hit Ctrl U, Ctrl X and then U for undo. Copying is a bit different than in the standard editor. If we, for example, mark this word, we can hit meta W and we can paste with Ctrl Y. Ctrl D is delete, which basically means if I write some stuff and I jump back, then I can press Ctrl D to delete forward. And nope, that's wrong. I just found a little mistake. Ctrl W is delete or kill region. So that means if we press Ctrl W, we delete the region that we just edited. The next thing I want to talk about is window manipulation, which is one of the most awesome things, in my opinion, in Emacs. Emacs gives you very fast access to splitting your windows horizontally, splitting it vertically, and then removing the window or jumping around the windows. So I really enjoy that and I use it quite often. So let's start with Ctrl X and 3. So now we have split the window vertically. Now we can split it with Ctrl X2. We can split it horizontally. And if we want to close one, this is a 0, by the way. So if I hit Ctrl X0, we can remove the window right again. And now we're back to one window, which is pretty awesome. And you can have a lot of fun with that. So let's go. After we have created a second window, that's something I wanted to show, we can jump between windows by pressing Ctrl X and O, which is also pretty fast. There we go. Having too much fun here. Another thing that is pretty handy is if we have, for example, let's jump into a C file. Let's jump into another file. Let's split it so we can have the Emacs hotkeys. If we are, for example, in a C file, and now I want to comment a region, like I just don't want to set these two. If I have forgotten the hotkey, I can basically write the command by pressing meta X. And if I if I know the command kind of, then I can simply enter it down here. So if I'm not entirely sure, but I know what command I want to use, I don't really have to know the hotkey. I can simply enter it via the meta X, and then I can also uncomment the region. Yeah, and that's basically it. These are all the hotkeys that I usually use. Let's close this one again and go back to our cheat sheet. So if you like the cheat sheet, you can comment and I can upload it to my GitHub, but I think those are pretty straightforward. And these are also the most common keys that I use on a day-to-day basis, and these should get you started. So thanks for watching.